Hi, good afternoon, everybody. We'll start in a few minutes, but for now, we'd like to welcome all our live viewers on the Parenting Collective and all the other online platforms that we have. No, welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. We just want to remind everyone that if you have questions or comments for any of our parent experts today, please write it in the comments below, and then we'll try to get to them um, during the appropriate parts in the show or towards the end when we address the comments and the questions. Okay, so we'll start in a few minutes, but before we get there, today we're going to talk about um, something that I think as parents we all are thinking about and discussing about, which is, are we enrolling our kids or not in this coming school year? There's a lot of uncertainty and fear that we're all going through, especially because there's health fears that we have for our kids and for other kids as well. And so there's also a lot of confusion brought about by the situation because we don't know exactly um, what the plans of several schools are. Although I know that there are many schools who have taken the initiative to explain to their parents what the expectations are, but a lot of the times there's a lot of jargon and a lot of things that need to be broken down. So today, on this episode, we're going to be joined by my wife, Nicole Concepcion, who is a licensed teacher, and Dr. Andrea Carag, who is a certified pediatrician. And today we'll talk about the different considerations and the different um, modes and different issues surrounding the issue of resuming school this coming school year. So, for all those that are watching, thanks again for being here. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments below. Or for those that are online now, maybe you can share with us where you're watching us from in the comments below so that we know and we can sort of contextualize to you um, the discussion today. Okay. So if you're watching now, let us know where you're from. Type it in the comments below, um, so that we can see where our viewers are from, and so we can um, tailor the discussion today to your specific situation. Or you can also tell us in the comments what grade your kid is in, so that we can make the discussion more specific to what you need. No? So where you're from, or you can just say hi in the comments and tell us what grade your kids are in. Okay. Okay. So while we wait for those comments and those, we'll start to bring in our guests today. So our first guest is my wife, Nicole Concepcion. She's a licensed teacher, and she's gonna tell us more about her activities now and where she's working. Hi,
Hi. Hi.
hello. So why don't you tell us more about your experience and where you work?
Okay. So I'm part of a founding team at the Discovery Academy of Innovation, and we are a uh, new school, I guess, on the block, or and that we're also kind of exploring this whole online, right, blended learning, distance learning, whatever you want to call it,
Mm,
scenario. And so that's something that I've recently gotten, well, maybe in the last 2 years I've gotten into. Before that, I've been a teacher for 15 years. Wow, it's long. And I've taught everything from kindergarten all the way to MBA students. It's a wild gamut as well.
right.
Um, and so I've different experiences and different things. Yeah.
Okay. So Nicole is going to be our expert today on all the language that the schools are using and trying to decode what those things mean. And then our next guest for today is Dr. Andrea Carag. She's a pediatrician, a general pediatrician. And hi, Andrea. Hi, Andrea. Hello. Hi. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your practice, where you practice, and your background?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Andrea Carag. I'm a pediatrician. I practice here in Parañaque. I am the co-owner of the pediatric clinic, and I handle the physical clinic as well as the online presence. So don't forget to
Mhm.
check us out at the Pedia Clinic PH on both Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Thanks, Doc. Thanks. Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Okay. I think we have a lot to talk about today. No, I think a lot of parents are very eager to parang talk about this issue because I know the schools have already come out in one form or another, their plans. But a lot of the times when the plans are laid out, parang you kind of feel as a parent, parang teka, parang nakalimutan ako in those plans or like parang I don't understand what you're asking me to do. So let's kind of break down, let's cut through some of the noise. No,
Mhm.
and so parang I guess the question right now is how will my kid go to school this year? Parang what are the things that the schools are doing or what is official in DepEd, I guess. So Nikki, you want to start?
Okay, sure. So, um, Dep Ed has actually about five different things that they recommend doing
Mm-hmm.
for the incoming school year. So we
Right.
have the first one, and let me just kind of lay it out, and then we can talk about
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
one. So the first one is our face to face, right? You go to school. That's something that we're very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, due to the COVID-19, that has actually taken a step back.
Right.
And the only time, at least as of today, as of June
June
6th,
6th. Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
okay, just to be clear, the only time they will allow face to face or some sort of face to face is in low risk areas. So when we kind of have maybe an ECQ or something, maybe not even in MECQ, but when they have decided that the area is a low risk for
Mm.
COVID-19, that's the only
Okay.
time they will allow more face to face classes.
Right. Right. Okay.
So definitely not Metro Manila.
Not now.
Definitely not Metro Manila. Currently, not definitely not
Currently,
Metro Manila.
as of
Yeah,
today. Okay.
as of today.
So that's out of the
Then,
question. Sending them back to the classroom. Sending them back to
well,
school.
as of today,
Mm.
DepEd and says that they think that by August 24,
Mm.
we might have the possibility of going back to school. So having the
Right.
classes on August 24. And that is as of DepEd and their research and their capabilities with
Okay.
DOH and everything else. So
Okay.
that's what's currently on the list, and that may change depending on many things, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So in place of like the face to face,
Okay.
what is DepEd or what are the schools in general trying to, or how are they preparing, or how are they rolling this out?
So let's discuss what the schools are doing before
Mm.
what we can do.
Okay.
What the schools are doing, they actually have four different
Mm.
versions. Can you see me
Mm-hmm.
there? Four. The first, because the first one is modular distance learning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sorry.
modular distance learning is, think of it as like individualized learning. It's when the assumption here is that the internet at home or the teachers is not strong and it cannot sustain an online session,
Mm.
right?
I think this is what happened to most of the private schools. Um,
Immediately, right.
yeah, immediately as the lockdown happened, since no one was prepared, none of the schools were prepared for online learning.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So the
Yeah.
teachers had poor internet, and then
Mm.
they really didn't know the situation of the students' internet. So that's what happened. So that's now how we call it
Right.
modular.
Modular
Modular.
distance learning. And a lot
Yeah.
of the time, it's where they send you so this email where, okay, guys, for this week you need to accomplish 30 things. Here it's all. So here are all the files. Here's all the information.
Mm.
Here's the worksheets.
Yeah, that's what
Activate
happened to me and my daughter. Yep,
Mm.
that's it.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
So
And
that's
I
modular
don't
distance.
here, you do it.
Yeah, I'm sure that was the feeling. And a lot of the responsibility of the school here is that they monitor the progress of the kids. So they make sure that they do the homework or the activities or whatever. And this is according to DepEd, okay? So I don't know. So it depends on the school. But according to DepEd, teachers can do home visits if it's possible.
Okay.
They can do home visits if it's possible, if the parents feel it's safe. for remediation or extra help, or parents, tutors, they call them para teachers, so parents who people who act like teachers for the kids
Okay.
can help explain the homework. They can help
Okay.
explain the
Okay.
activity. So that's
Okay.
modular.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
one. So the second one is online learning, online
Okay.
distance learning. This is the assumption is your internet is pretty strong. It can sustain online classes. That happens synchronously. So that means it happens all at the same time. Everybody's watching. You're in one class. And the goal of this is really to facilitate discussion. So it's a lot about communication.
Mm.
Uh, Depending on how the school's set up, sometimes they do the class, so they lecture right online,
Okay.
like how it is in the classroom, or they can give you a webinar or send you to do an app,
Mm.
play with the app and figure it out there, and then they
Mm.
have the discussion together in class. So I've
Okay.
seen some schools do this, um, and it really is it. What they say is if you have a LMS, so a learning management system. So that's
Yeah.
like Canvas, if you went to college, like Blackboard, all these forms. What they do is it's one area where all the homework's there, the webinar's there, the assessment is there, and you do it all on that platform with the
Okay.
videos.
Okay.
So that's the second one. The
Mm.
third one is the same thing, except it happens on TV or on radio. So the idea, I guess, is you watch the webinar on TV and then they give you a packet to answer and to do,
Mm.
or you do it online or you have a discussion online. So there's that component as well. So
Okay.
that's the third. And then the fourth is actually blended learning. I think a lot
Mm.
of people have heard about blended learning.
Mm-hmm.
For this case, particular scenario, blended learning is a mixture of online, face to face, if it's appropriate, modular distance learning, the TV and radio. And I feel like this is what most schools will probably do. So,
Right.
depending on the teachers, depending on the school and the students, they'll craft some form of what I just talked about beforehand. So they'll try to get to the best scenarios and put it
Mm.
together. So I really feel like this is probably where most schools are going to um, or they'll try to push their classes towards.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this is done with the school in charge, right? So this
Okay.
means that your grades are there, the teachers are the ones taking care of that. They report it to DepEd. If you finish the class or if you graduate or if you do all the assessments, you can graduate to the next grade.
Mm.
Homeschooling is
Okay.
a different mode. So
Okay.
homeschooling,
So let's
or
bulk all of that. All of that, let's just call that online learning, like
Okay.
online schooling. Okay,
Okay.
so
online
this one, we're going to discuss now homeschooling. So there's
homeschooling,
an actual difference
yeah.
between online learning and now it's homeschooling. Okay.
So homeschool is what they consider, DepEd considers it an alternative delivery mode. So it's not something that dep it happens in schools. It
Mm.
happens at home. That's why it's called homeschooling, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
so what happens is that you have so a couple things. As a parent, you're in charge for finding a licensed homeschool service,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there is license, and to a certain degree, get training or find qualified teachers to be a licensed homeschool teacher. And
Okay.
now, this could be as simple as just maybe attending a couple of talks. So, depending on your service,
Right.
they'll explain to you, right, how do you become a licensed teacher. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. So, they
Mm.
give you the book, they give you the curriculum, they may give you suggestions,
Mm-hmm.
but on top of that, you might have to create the activity, you have to create the assessment, you have to make sure that it's recorded. So there are standard things that you have to do to report that your students or your kids are doing the work. And then at the end of the year, they have to take a test that will promote them to the next grade level. So
Okay.
this is specific to the homeschool.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then just to clarify, when they take the test, so you now hold the test scores, the parent is still the one who's going to have to submit this to
To
DepEd.
depth
Am I
ed.
correct? Like there's still no governing body that you can submit it to. It's just you, me, myself, me. And then I'm going to go to
So when you
DepEd.
take the test, so the person giving the test is actually part of, I think, the governing body that of homeschool. So
Okay.
it's a
Mm.
So the test is a government test. It's a
Yes.
national test, right? So
Mm.
it is held by a group, and I'm not as familiar with this one, so I
Mhm.
can't say the specifics. But with the test, that's
So that can be
um,
another lecture. Yeah.
yeah,
We can
that's
call
a
it
whole
a
different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So parang basically parang there's given all of these options that are given to us. So parang the first part, all those online distance learning, modular, blended learning, parang they sound like this is school initiated. Parang you're enrolled dapat in a regular school, but then given the circumstances, you're shifting
yes,
to that mode. And whereas homeschool, parang you're becoming the school. As a parent, you are
yeah,
becoming the school. So parang it's whether you hire yourself as the teacher or you get a teacher
yeah.
to deliver the instruction. Okay, so parang that's the difference.
That's
But
it. But homeschool has a curriculum. It's
right.
set as well. It's more,
Okay.
and they do have suggested activities that they
Mm.
give.
Mm.
It's just that it's not a school. It's now your responsibility to set the time and the schedule and
Right,
everything.
right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd also
So
like to clarify that I have a lot of homeschooling friends, or a lot of homeschooling parents, and then they still have to go look for music lessons. They still have to provide a certain number of physical activity. They have to prove that they were in some form of, let's say, sports activity for a
mm-mm,
certain number of times a week.
mm-mm.
So it's still like school. You just have to be the one to find your own activities.
Right, right, right. Tama, tama. Okay. So parang I guess kasi it's also becoming tempting na parang if I'm already doing this all at home now, parang I'll just do like this homeschooling thing. I don't have to pay pa the tuition or but now I guess now we know na parang something else takes the place of the tuition, no? So parang
Yes.
we'll just pause, say hi to Dayan from Mandaluyong who has grade 1 and grade 5 kids, no? Hi Dayan. So for
Hi.
everyone else who is watching, if you have any questions that come up while we're doing this discussion, please put them in the comments below and we'll try to get to them. Also, if you want, please share with us the grade level, the incoming grade level of your kids, para we can contextualize this conversation so that it becomes more relevant to you. No? So parang that's a lot. So that's a lot. There's a lot of things that that the different schools are coming up with, and even parang we were able to define what those means, what those things mean, and even parang go into a little bit about homeschool. Pero like there's so many considerations we have to take note of. I guess parang I guess what do you hear from parents, from other parents, and what do they talk about in terms of considerations na parang these are my concerns and stuff like that. Where are the parents parang with this choice, I guess.
Dr. Karak, do you wanna start? I can, or do you want me to?
Yeah.
Where the parents are, okay.
Mm.
Well, sige, so not to be too out there, basically a lot of the parents have concerns ka because a lot of them, because they have already felt how online schooling was, or
Mm.
as we learned, it's not exactly the online schooling that the school is planning. So what
Mm.
we experienced was modular learning, but see, we didn't know that. The
Mm.
problem is that we were stuck in the situation, and then neither the school nor the parent really knew what to do, and a lot of the schools did adapt naman well.
Mm.
um, and given that situation, so we were doing actually what was called modular learning, but a lot of
Mm.
the parents were really frustrated.
Yeah,
So let's
yeah.
face it,
Oo.
they were the ones doing the work. They were
Mm.
diba? They were still paying for the school, but yet
Uh-huh.
they were the ones doing the homework,
Mm.
making sure that their child
Mhm.
did the
Mm.
homework correctly. Because
Mm.
again, diba, that is a
But
parent. Me as a parent, I'm not that. I didn't really see myself as the teacher. So what would happen was I would make sure that my child got the correct answer. So para it would really frustrate me when she wouldn't understand the lesson right away, not knowing that if she just had submitted, let's say, what do you call this, the lesson plan as is, or the activities as
Mhm.
is with errors and all,
Yeah.
the teachers would have been able to pick up on
Right, right,
where they
right.
would be lacking.
Right, right.
So that's a problem. Parents are
Yeah.
not really the best teachers.
Oo. So I guess
80% of the time.
parang given that experience, parang maybe like 3 months ago. Wow, if you think about it, mga 2 3 months ago na siya, but it still sounds so fresh and parang But given that experience, is there hesitation now for parents to like you know to like enroll back in school even with all these parang things in place?
Yes, definitely. I've spoken to a lot of parents and I've read a lot of their comments. So most of them is, especially between the decision to go private school and
Mm-hmm.
public school,
Mm-hmm.
a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of them are opting to just enroll in public school because if it's going to be the same method, if it's going to
Mm.
be either modular or actual synchronous learning,
Mm.
they feel that it's going to be the same, and then so they would rather save a little because also given our situation, a lot of us aren't working.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's right.
So, given that situation, a lot of them are opting to move their children to public
Mm-mm.
school. I've also spoken to a lot of mothers who say that um, they have found schools, they have found private schools that
Mm.
have provided good lesson plans.
Mm-hmm.
They have provided tuition discounts.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the what I think we talked about this, Nicole. This is the consuelo de bobo for the parents. They provided tuition discounts enough for them to feel like it is worth it for their children to go to the same school.
Right, right,
That's
right.
Yeah.
another consideration.
Oo.
But a lot nga are opting to shift to
Yeah.
homeschooling instead.
Right.
But I noticed nga that these are the parents who obviously have more time on their hands. Like if they
Right.
are stay-at-home mothers who are not working because let's say for me as a working single mother, I cannot
Mm.
do homeschooling. I cannot be the one in charge
Mm-mm.
solely of my child's
Mm.
education. I think
Right.
I would go insane. At a certain parang I right now would be happy if because my school has provided naman with a good learning plan. So I think we would be okay with
Mm-mm.
that. But I see people with there coming grade one, grade two. Yeah, my child's also coming in grade one and grade two. We'll talk about the problems that I will be facing with you.
Oo. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
ano,
those are the concerns of the parents there.
right, right, right. So, okay, so parang hi, before we go move on, hi to Fiona, Sarah, and Anne. Thanks for tuning in. Nikki, what are the other concerns that we hear? So, parang from Andrea and all her on all the contacts in her experience, it's really nga parang there's this parang like why am I paying the tuition? Yeah, you give me a discount, but then it's still like me. Parang it still feels like here's grade 2. Go teach grade 2 to your child. Parang ganon. So
What?
It's, I guess, I'm trying
No,
to
but
think about
you as a teacher, parang how would you
oo.
it. It's I guess there are many things that,
Mm.
to think about. Like Andrea said, I mean, I do applaud the schools who are able to adapt, right?
Mm.
And able to adjust right away, because it is difficult. It is something completely new. So as parents that are learning that this is a new
Right.
experience,
Mm.
so are the teachers and so are the
Mm.
schools. And so I
Mm.
think, first of all, we need to give them props that they are trying to adjust and
Mm.
trying to adapt to the situation.
Right.
And then I also feel like the schools that have a good communication system with their parents, can hear feedback,
Mm.
can
Mm.
adjust even better. So I think
Mm.
that's a first thing that we have to kind of think of,
Mm.
be thankful for. The
Right, right.
second thing about the tuition, um, as a uh, uh, school, well, tuition is so. At the end of the day, schools um, have to be sustainable,
Mm.
right? So that at the end of the day, after this year, right,
Mhm. Mhm.
the schools need to be operational next year.
Mm.
And so there are things that, even if it's online,
Mhm.
schools have to pay for,
Right.
right? salary is the big one of your teachers, which is takes the bulk of most of your salary. I don't know about the internet if the schools are providing it for their teachers
Mm-hmm.
um, or not, right?
Mm-mm.
So you have so there are many additional things that the school still has to pay for, and I'm sure that they have, as they've given their tuition, thought about that as well,
Yeah.
and that they are giving the best discount, right? Because at the end of the day, I assume you put your child at this school because you trust them and that
Mm.
you know that they want to give the best to their kids.
Right,
And
right, right.
so for them, when they give the tuition, this is I'm sure they've talked about lowering their tuition and they've talked about where they can cut. But
Mm.
to give the best education that they
Right,
can at this
right,
point,
right.
right? At this new normal as we're talking about it, this is
Mm.
what they can do. So
Mm-mm.
I feel this is at least my point of view on how these things
Mm.
are done.
Mm. And parang I think also like as parents you have to parang it's natural right now parang like I'm for me it's about talking to the parents and seeing where they're at right now. It's natural to have these kinds of considerations now na of course parang we a lot of us parents weren't able to work or parang if unfortunately some parang got lost their jobs or there are changes, big changes in family structure now, maybe because of this now from a single income household you have to be both working. So there are those considerations. So parang like as parents it's good that you brought it up na parang there was a reason in the first place that you brought your kid to this school initially. So maybe it's a good time to sort of tell yourself, okay, teka lang, before I make such a big decision, to take a moment and say, what were the things that I considered first? Why did I send my kid to this school? Parang what were the things that I was getting from that, the intangibles, and so um, and put that back into the equation instead of kasi it's natural now na parang we're a little penny pinching na parang kung ako rin magtuturo why do I have
Yeah,
to pay like 100,000 something like that, no, for and I have to print everything and I have to like buy everything and stuff like that. But I think to speak to the parents now and tell them na parang go back to take a moment and go back to why that was the school you chose for your kid.
yeah,
No, I think for me that's an important point that parents have to consider again.
yeah. And I guess to go back to your points, Rafi, for me, as you're deciding for the school year
Mm,
and your age group, you have to consider several things, right? The
right,
first
right.
one, like you said, is your end goal. So,
Yeah.
what is your end goal for your child?
Right.
That also depends on the age level. That also
Mm-mm.
depends on if you pull them out this year, will you have a slot
Mm-hmm.
next year? If your school's like
Mm.
with those high demand schools, right? There
Right,
are some
right,
where
right.
you pull them
Mm-mm.
out, somebody will easily go in and you lose your slot. So
Right.
you have to really consider the whole picture with that end goal. I think
Mm-mm.
that's the first one. The
Mm-mm.
second one, and this is where the conversation with the school is important, it's about your resources. And we're
Mm-mm.
not talking about monetary resources alone,
Mm-mm.
your internet bandwidth. What if you're all working at home? Do you have four
Yeah.
internet
Yeah.
connections, right? I mean, it's a real question.
Yeah,
It's your
right.
space consideration as well. You have space to have a small classroom there,
Mm-mm.
So
right?
that space thing is a concern. Bandwidth, this is a concern for those who
Yeah.
are working
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
at home, as well as maybe you have two, three
Uh-uh.
more kids.
Uh-uh.
Imagine mo all of a sudden, instead of being able to send them off to school,
Mm-mm.
and though they're
Mm-mm.
all gone for the day, they're all there at
Mm-mm.
home eating the
Yeah.
internet, and then all of them will need it almost at the same time.
Right, right,
Mhm.
right.
That's true.
Right.
The other one is for me the bantay, right? The
Mm.
person watching your kid. Do they have the technical skills to do it? Is it the parent? So those are big questions there as well.
Right, right, right.
For me to look at. The other
Mm-mm.
one is your preference. So, like I
Mm-mm.
mentioned earlier, you
Mm-mm.
send your kid to a school. I mean, let's face it, right? Teachers are not I mean, there are many teachers, but there
Mm.
are some teachers that are more effective in a certain style than others,
Right, right, right,
right?
right.
Right? That's the way you would say it.
Yeah, that's a
And
kind
so,
way to say it.
So okay,
um,
that's how
and
I
so
would say.
when you're deciding to pull your child, or when you decide to send your child to the school,
Mm.
there are some teachers that are better than the others that will
Right.
help them grow and learn. But when
Mm-mm.
you do that online, it doesn't mean that you change schools, that you'll
Mm-hmm.
have as good a teacher or as bad a
Right.
teacher,
Right.
or
Right.
as
Right.
effective a teacher or not
Right.
effective, right? So you
Right.
have to really, it becomes one of those individual things. So you have to
Uh-uh.
weigh your preferences,
Mm-hmm.
the possible, the in business, the risk appetite, right?
Mm-mm. How
That
risky.
you have, right? How
Uh-uh.
comfortable you are changing their
Mm-mm.
schools. How
Yeah.
comfortable are you
Right.
with the new set of teachers that you'll have to get to know? Because
Uh-uh.
in your current school, you may know, okay, this school, I love it because it can help my child become a better
Mm.
person.
Right.
The math skills are great, the science skills need work, but I know
Mm-mm.
that, so I can supplement rather than
Mm-mm.
it's a whole new place. And you're
Right.
like, I don't know where my kid's strong at.
Right.
This teacher, I don't know if they're good in this and that. So how do I? So you're trying, I guess, at the end of the day, to remove all the unknowns,
Mm.
to know everything, so that you can give your child the best experience.
Mm. Right. 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 That's
Oh,
true.
that being said, I think for all parents, if you're deciding to transfer your kids,
Mm.
by the way, my personal opinion for everyone, I think I've been saying this a lot, is that wherever you are, try
Mhm.
not to transfer your kids if money allows, if
Mm-mm.
bandwidth allows, if space allows, if all of these things
Mm-mm.
are okay. Try not to transfer your kids because we are at a point in time where the
Mm-mm.
entire world is at an uncertainty. So you might
Mm.
want to have that, at least that part of your child's life. So if your child's already enrolled in the school, and
Yes.
they're offering a relatively good package and you
Mm-hmm.
have if money allows, I suggest you take it. Now if you are
Yes.
considering to transfer,
Mm-hmm.
my suggestion would also be to you like that weigh your pros and cons, list it down, parang it's
Mm.
like almost every decision naman that you make in life, so list it down, so list down what you don't like about
Yeah.
the online learning that your school is offering, and then
Right.
wherever you're going to transfer them, if you're transferring them to public school, list down the pros and cons that will happen.
Right.
Include here also, now what if, uy, bigla na lang sa September, may bakuna na, papasok na tayo. Okay? So, things like that that you cannot foresee.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So, but these things you do have to take into consideration. And
Yes.
also as
Yes.
well, you do this also for homeschooling.
Mm. Right.
Because that's also a big shift as well. All of a sudden, all the kids will go back to school, and then you would be stuck at
Mm.
home. You wouldn't have been able to enroll. So if that is okay with you, again, these things you list down. If you're still sort of on the fence about
Mm-mm.
where to put
Mm-mm.
your child.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
That's actually, that's perfect, Andrea, because
Yeah.
at the
Nice.
end of the day, it's an uncertain time,
Yeah.
right? And so you need to weigh out all the options. You have to think it through.
Mm-mm.
We can't just react to what's happening
Mm-mm.
now. We have to think
Mm-mm.
about what's happening in the future.
Okay. Okay. Sige. So I think parang let's take on some questions now. Again, for
Okay.
everyone who's watching live, you can put your questions down. We're gonna start taking the questions. So we'll start with this one from Sarah, who has a 2-year-old son and was supposed to enroll him to preschool to enhance his social skills. But then due to this situation, we decided to postpone to enroll him. What do you suggest I can do to supplement the lack of, I guess, the lack of preschool for this year for Sarah's son?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna quote Rafi on this now. Yeah, that's correct. We for preschool and kids below certain grade, below grade one, if
Uh-uh.
your child isn't enrolled yet, the actual point of school was the social interaction of school.
Mm-mm.
So there's actually no need to push the issue for online learning for
Yeah.
these toddlers
Yeah.
and preschoolers. So
Mm.
if because and then there are many resources available online right now. They're like
Mm-mm.
cropping up like mushrooms for
Mm-mm.
activity sheets,
Mm-mm.
maybe a few online classes for these
Mm-mm.
kids, things like
Mm-mm.
that. For me, I'd rather you take those. So if you're just
Mm-mm.
thinking of supplementing him in preschool, then those
Mm-mm.
are completely okay.
Mm-mm.
Otherwise, he wasn't in school, so he's not
Yeah.
really going to miss this.
Yeah.
What you can also do, so I guess like what Andrea said, there you can enroll him in a preschool, a grade two preschool that focuses on socialization. So it could be as
Yeah.
simple as reading. So like with ours, at my school, what we do is we do 30 minutes. It's a group of 3 to 4 kids, and we sing, we read, we dance. So
Mm,
it's not really about the skills, though of course you practice that, but it's more about talking to each other, socializing, singing. So you can do those short activities to help supplement
mm,
um, him not going to school for the year.
mhm.
And then I had another one. That was one. Oh, the other one is if you have friends with kids the same age, play dates.
Yeah.
If that's right, the point, have online play dates.
Yes.
And it you see like your son might come out and say, "Hey,
Mm-mm.
look, I have an elephant, mommy." So
It's
there's
always the pet.
socialization.
It's always the
Yeah,
pet. They always bring out some random animal they have in their house. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Nicole.
yeah. No, so that would be helpful if that's the goal, right?
Mm-mm,
It's
mm-mm,
you can do it online. So I don't think the kids lose out as much as we think when it's online socialization,
mm-mm.
because as long as they're looking at the screen, they're
Yeah.
interacting, they're talking, then
Yeah.
that's great.
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so parang for me, Sarah, that's there's a reason it's called preschool. It's really just, parang just to get them used to a routine of going to school. It's fun for them, but if you're not comfortable, if your area it's not deemed safe pa, then it's okay. He's not gonna miss out on a lot. But to supplement nga, and it's good that you're thinking of supplementing parang the experiences. It's like what they said, you can do short classes, or parang locally you can find a group of other kids na parang you kind of trust, say around the same age na, then you can all meet up, because that's the point nga of preschool, which is socialization, and which is what you said, to enhance social skills. So preschool isn't the only way to enhance his social skills. There are other things that you can do. Thanks. Okay, so that's from Sarah, and then we also have this. I guess just to echo lang, we have several from Anne and from Diane. They are saying nga na they're considering moving first to the public school. And I guess parang just to touch back on what we were saying kanina, when you're making these kinds of big decisions, no, um, Andrea was saying, and even Nikki was saying, that's parang we want you to take a moment, pause. I mean, unless there's a resource problem talaga, like a financial resource problem. But if we can keep things more, I guess, consistent, you know, calling Ria,
Our
hi
favorite
Ria,
term.
yeah, consistent.
Our
If
favorite
you can
term.
keep things more consistent, yeah, that's gonna be better for your kid in the long run. Okay, this one from Mia, no, once a pandemic is over and kids get used to virtual class. Okay, that's one thing, no. I mean, I don't know if parents will like to get used to virtual class, but if the kids get used to virtual class, do you think online learning will continue to be a method of education, Nikki?
It depends on the age.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm gonna say yeah.
Mm.
I've even before this, I've seen universities and high schools actually do online education or online classes.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, it's really the goal of the school. So I guess depends on the context. So if in I think in preschool where the importance is the manipulatives and the ability to interact and see, I don't think that this would continue, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Mhm.
But maybe in the older years,
Mm.
some form of it, which we've started to see, right, with blended learning
Mhm.
and home and some home classes. Yeah.
Right, right, right. And what about you, Andrea? What do you think?
Yes, for the younger kids, grades 1 to maybe about grade 5, the teachers still have to gauge the learning capability and the learning style of the
Mm.
kids.
Mhm.
Because I think we're all aware naman, di ba, some kids are visual learners, some are
Mm.
auditory, some are
Mm.
tactile. Um, they still have to gauge that. They have to gauge the learning capacity of the child. So these
Mm.
are things that are not yet, we're not going to be able to see through a screen because that
Mm.
barrier is going to be there, and
Mm.
it's just not feasible.
Mm. Mm.
So as soon for the younger years, as soon as face-to-face learning is available, I think it would be more prudent to send them to school if it's just
Mm.
for the learning.
Right.
Now, the social distancing is another matter. But for the higher years, definitely, I think they should start thinking into allowing them to work from home some of the lessons, some of the classes, because I think this might actually hold a key place in a lot of the education systems. And this goes all the way until postgraduate and masters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
so it
yun.
should be. It's here to
It's
stay,
a,
guys.
it's here to stay. I think it's here to stay. And parang it's funny because it's just me as far as my profession goes. I'm a psychologist, so I see people online. A lot of work has moved online, even like doctors. You guys have telemedicine, so I think parang it's about embracing. I think parang that's another thing that as parents we kind of struggle with because we didn't grow up with this option, or parang like it was inconceivable. I mean, you see it in the Jetsons, but even the Jetsons had to go to school. Parang okay, I'm dating myself too much, pero
Yeah, yeah, way too much.
I
but
still
parang
want
like I
my
think
robot butler.
but
Papangalo ko
but
lang.
I think it's more about adjusting our expectations as parents in terms of like virtual classes and internet classes yung like si Andrea and Nikki said, parang it really depends on the age. I guess that's a big factor, the age of the kid, kasi there's a level of appropriateness and autonomy they can do. But I think online is here to stay for a while. Okay.
But sorry, can I just add to
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, sure.
But it doesn't mean that it's online that it's easier on the
Mm.
teachers.
Mm, mm,
Okay, and it's
mm, mm,
easier on the parent. I mean, we that might be. I don't know if that's what people are thinking, and maybe you can
right.
share if that's your thought process, right?
Uh,
Sometimes we think that online classes is an easier way for teachers to teach it and for people to receive it, but a lot of the times, at least in my experience, even with my older kids, it's
mhm.
not easier. It requires more work, it requires more management.
Yeah.
It's very hard to read body language on a screen like this, right? Because in a classroom, if I see someone starting to slouch, oh, I know you're not paying attention, go listen. But it changes. So that's something to think about as well, that
Right.
it doesn't necessarily mean it's an
Mm.
easier way to teach.
Okay. Okay. Sige. For everyone who's watching, we have maybe time for one more question. But while we're waiting for that one question, maybe from key points for parents to remember moving forward. Parang I know that a lot of schools have adjusted their calendars and they're already telling parents na parang reserve na your slot or enroll
Yeah.
na and commit na to the school. Yeah, but parang what key points should parents have moving forward making this decision? Kasi this decision is not taken lightly talaga. There's so many considerations like we've discussed. So what are key points that parents have to remember?
Uh, for me, the big one is, can you communicate with your school,
Mm,
right?
mm,
I think that's a
mm,
big one.
mm,
Have they given you a learning plan? Have they
mm,
told you how the school year is going to be like?
mm,
Can you share with them your own struggles and your own resource problems?
mm-hmm.
Can they accommodate? I mean, to a certain degree, right? You
Yeah,
get them
yeah,
and have
yeah.
them accommodate everything, right? I think that those are questions, and of course, the big one in the room is it really the best experience for your child,
Mm-hmm.
right? As a parent, so those are things I think you need to really think about.
Okay.
I always tell this to parents as well. When you think about your child, though, also remember that the school is thinking about all their children.
Mm,
So your responsibility is to think about the best thing for your child.
mm-hmm.
They're also thinking about the best thing for their children. So you should, for all the children.
Yeah.
So you have to also be receptive that sometimes the things that might be best for your child might not be the best for the group, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so managing, seeing, is
Mm-hmm.
it something that it's not too big a deal for me? I'm willing to adapt,
Mm,
or is it really a no, a big like no, I can't?
mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
that's when you go look for other resources.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think that's it for me. How about
Okay.
you, Dr.
Dr. Andrea?
Andrea?
Doc Ands?
Um, So I know a lot of the parents are frustrated or were
Yeah.
frustrated, or and then I also foresee a lot of frustration to come. So if you can, always list down. I always like listing. Always list down your concerns. Like if you had concerns for the teachers prior to this, like if you had like if they didn't handle the online learning before this enrollment, you have to tell them the things that went wrong or the things that you didn't feel were okay, because the
Mm.
school that my child is in was
Mm.
actually they actually listen.
Mm.
So and then they resolved a lot of the problems.
Mhm.
And then if and then again I foresee a lot of problems happening. You still have to list them down. So you will be you should find a school, or you should make sure that your school has a good communication system between you, between the parent, and then between the system itself, because so that they can adapt. If something is not working, they need to
Mhm.
know right away.
Mm. Mm.
If there is an issue, they need to know right away. So I think that's also the key part. I think communication is the key.
Yeah.
It's key.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So that's true. That's true. Oh, so parang I guess sige. So if I think that's all the time we have today, but just to summarize everything, I think as parents there's parang we feel such a huge pressure and responsibility right now to be able to make parang the best decision for your kid, no? And it's not easy because we all have are different things to consider pa. But I think what we're forgetting when we tackle this issue nga is that we should be able to bring out our concerns. You know, we have to see kasi this school thing as a relationship between the school and your home. You know, you as the representative of that, of parang the home to the school, you should be able to, that's, you know, that's how you know that the school's a good fit for you, if you are able to bring up, I guess, your concerns as parents, because these are difficult times, and parang I'm sure the school feels that they're difficult also, yung they're adjusting, but then, you know, we're also feeling the difficulty, but parang I think we have to see both sides, or try to communicate coming from both sides, where ano, and parang I guess listen um to each other, no? So parang I think yun nga, communication, know how to bring up your concerns so that the school can offer more suggestions, solutions, be part of the solution also. So you know, by doing that, and hopefully we're able to get the best course of action for the kids this year. Okay, sige. All right. Thank you, Ans and Nikki. Thanks
Thanks.
everyone for spending your afternoon with us. This is the Parenting Collective. So every Saturday we have talks like this called Practical Parenting, and we tackle different issues and different topics that are very relevant to your experience as a parent now. And so we hope that
Actually,
you.
sorry.
Sorry.
Our topic
Yeah.
next pala is how to be more involved in your child's learning.
Oh wow. Okay, so parang the offshoot of today's conversation, how to be more involved in your child's learning. So please tune in next Saturday. I think are we staying on this time slot?
Yeah, we might, we
Oh,
most
yeah.
probably will. We'll
Uh,
also tackle a lot of the questions that parents have, like
mm,
what if they have two or more
mm.
kids?
Yeah.
And then this like
Yeah.
si Miss Telma had a comment na it's not
Uh-huh.
easy because online classes,
Yeah.
parents are working, and then
Mm.
paano mo nga naman pag sabay-sabayan lahat yun?
Right, right, right.
So we'll try, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
try to answer those as well.
Right. Okay. And then if any of you, if any of our viewers have any ideas for any future topics that you would like us to tackle, you know, whatever is important to you as parents, in your roles as parents, or even in your lives as partners, or as adults, as working adults, please feel free to put them in the comments below. For
Mhm.
those that have not, please follow our social media accounts. I'll flash them on the screen right before we end today. Okay. So thanks guys. Thank you for being important resources, and we thank all the viewers today for staying tuned, and we'll see you guys next Saturday, this time, for a talk on how to be the most effective um no, sorry, how to be the best What does that?
How to
Sorry.
be involved? Sorry, how to be
How to
involved in
be
your child's learning?
right? Sorry. How to be involved in your child's learning. So my name's Rafi from the Parenting Collective, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.